Gibran, who is a Lebanese-American poet and artist. Gibran was born in 1883 in the born of Bashari in the Mount Lebanon area of the Ottoman Empire. Now, though he was raised a Christian, he also studied Islam because he was living in the Ottoman Empire. In particular, the Sufi tradition, which of course is the mystical path of Islam. As a young man, he immigrated to the U.S. with his mother and his siblings, and that's where he began his art and literary career, both in English and in Arabic. Now, in the Arab world, Gibran was and is regarded as a literary and political rebel. His romantic style and spiritual style was at the heart of a renaissance in modern Arabic literature, especially prose poetry. Now, in Lebanon, Gibran is celebrated as a hero, even though in the rest of the Arab world he is still looked at as being very controversial. He is chiefly known in the English-speaking world for his book, The Prophet, which is what I'm going to be sharing with you today, which was published in 1923. Gibran died of tuberculosis and cirrhosis of the liver at the age of 48, and he is the third all-time best-selling poet in the world. The first on that list is Shakespeare. The Poet, the book The Poet, is a story about a poet by the name of Al-Mustafa, who was the chosen and the beloved, and who was a dawn unto his day. He had spent years living in a city called Orphalese, much of the time confined by the authorities for being subversive. And all of that time, he waited for a ship to come to take him back to his birthplace. In the 12th year, he saw his ship coming in the mist, and as he walked to the harbor to meet the ship, the townspeople who loved him and his teachings came running to him, begging to him, "Please share your truth and your teachings with us so we can pass this on to our children." And so he did. And what I'm going to be doing is reading some of this for you. It's really, really beautiful. Al-Mitra, who was a seeress in the town, said to him, "Speak to us of love." And he raised his head and looked upon the people, and there fell a stillness upon them. And with a great voice he said, "When love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep. And when his wings enfold you, yield to him, though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you. And when he speaks to you, believe in him, though his voice may shatter your dreams, as the north wind lays waste the garden. For even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. For he is for your growth, so is he for your pruning. Even as he ascends to your height and caresses your tenderest branches that quiver in the sun, so shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth. Like sheaves of corn, he gathers you unto himself. He thrashes you to make you naked. He shifts you to free you from your husks. He grinds you to whiteness. He kneads you until you are pliant. And then he assigns you to his sacred fire, that you may become sacred bread for God's sacred feast. And all these things shall love do unto you, that you may know the secrets of your heart, and in that knowledge become a fragment of life's heart. You know, we all fall in love and we're wearing our rose-colored glasses. No, it's going to be so wonderful forever and ever and ever. And then reality hits. Life isn't like that. And love isn't like that. It's a roller coaster. It is up, it is down, it is hard, it is easy, it's terrible, it's wonderful, and sometimes it's just plain boring. But what Gibran is saying here is that even though sometimes it feels like you're getting stabbed in the heart, or your dreams are being shattered because someone that you love has disappointed you, he's saying, don't give up on it. Don't say no. Don't close your heart in that way. All of these things are happening because it is going to help you grow and mature. You know, the truth is, we don't learn anything when life is easy. We don't. Why should we make any changes? Everything's going grand, you know? But the minute things are hard, then it's like, this is painful. I don't want to do this anymore. So, I think I need to find a better way of doing things. Because if I keep doing this, it's going to continue to hurt. This is how human beings learn. We learn from our mistakes. I found this one interesting. The next question was, and what of marriage? And Mustafa says, you were born together, and together you shall be forever. You shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your days. Aye, you shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Sing and dance and be joyous, but let each of you be alone. Even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. Now, are we born together, and shall we always be together? Yes, we will. We know this because of quantum physics. We are all one thing. We are all connected and part of the same fabric that we call life. And so he says, let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of heaven dance between you. You know, my mother used to say that marriage was like holding mercury in your hand. If you keep your hand open, it just stays there. It kind of rolls around a little bit, but it's not going anywhere. And it's in one piece. But you go like this, and it's going to shatter into a million little drops. It's the same principle. Make not a bond of love. Don't turn it into a prison. Don't make it a ball and chain. People need their own space. It's okay if this partner has this hobby and that partner has that hobby. We love each other, we work together, but we still need our individual space, because we are individuals. When you have a roof over a back porch, you don't put both of the columns in the middle, because it's going to fall. You put one column at each corner. Yes, there's space. They're still working together. They're still doing the same job. They're still together, but they're not right on top of each other 24 hours a day. And a woman who held a babe against her bosom said to him, "Speak to us of children." And he said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts. They have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls. For their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. And you may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth." Very similar to what the Hindus believe. Life is God's. We are part of that life. But we don't own everything we think we own. All of that belongs to the source. And, you know, when you go to, we have grandchildren who are in games. And you go to these games, and these parents are fanatical about their children being the top player on the team, doing everything perfect, making them proud. I used to be a great baseball player. I used to be a great football player. My kid is going to be just like that. No. You know, they're all individuals. And we as parents, you know, we have these babies, and of course we all think, oh, they're going to be so wonderful. They're going to be perfect. They're going to be beautiful. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And then they end up being themselves, and we're like, oh, please. You know? Where did I go wrong? You didn't go wrong. They are individual expressions of the universe. And the universe loves variety. They love variety. If you look in Australia, the breed of bird is called a cockatoo. And they are most of them are about this big. There are like 200 different types of cockatoo in Australia that are all cockatoos. And they eat different things, they live in different places, they're different sizes, different colors, and have different habits. And they've all developed in Australia. And that's what life likes. It likes variety. It likes changes. That's what it wants. So it's important for us as parents to realize that our children are unique, individual expressions of the universe, and we can't expect them to be exactly the way we want them to be. A rich man said, "Speak to us of giving." And he answered, "You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions but things you keep and guard, for fear you may need them tomorrow? There are those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition. And their hidden desire makes their gifts unwholesome. And there are those who have little and give it all. These are the believers in life and the bounty of life, and their coffer is never empty. There are those who give with joy, and joy is their reward. There are those who give with pain, and that pain is their baptism. There are those who give and know not pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with the mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space. Through the hands of such as these God speaks, and from behind his eyes he smiles upon the earth. So what in the world does that mean? Well, when people give joyfully, it makes them feel good. They receive joy. When people give because they have to, it's expected. They don't really want to do it, you know. But they've got to do it, so, oh, right, I will do it. And grin and bear it. Then, are they receiving the joy of giving? No, they're mad. They may keep it hidden in here, but are they happy and joyful about this? No, they're not. No, they're not. And there are those who give not out of pain. They're not looking for joy. And they're not trying to impress anybody or look important or yada, yada, yada. You know, my family gave the most money at this big charity. Therefore, we are special. None of that. And that, when someone does that, they are like the flowers giving off their fragrance to everything that is growing and lives around them. Because they're looking for nothing. They're giving for the joy of giving. This was an interesting one. What is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear that cloth. It is to build a house with affection, even as if your beloved were to dwell in that house. It is to sow seeds with tenderness and reap the harvest with joy, even as if your beloved were to eat the fruit. It is to charge all things you fashion with a breath of your own spirit, and to know that all the blessed dead are standing about you watching. Often I heard you say, as if speaking in sleep, he who works in marble and finds the shape of his own soul in the stone is nobler than he who plows the soil. And he who seizes the rainbow to lay it on a cloth in the likeness of man is more than he who makes the sandals for our feet. But I say, not in sleep, but in over wakefulness of noontide, that the wind speaks not more sweetly to the giant oaks than to the least of all the blades of grass. And he alone is great, who turns the voice of the wind into a song made sweeter by his own loving. Work is love made visible. If you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better that you should leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take alms of those who work with joy. For if you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but half a man's hunger. And if you grudge the crushing of the grapes, your grudge distills a poison in the wine. And if you sing as though as angels and love not the singing, you muffle man's ears to the voices of the day and the voices of the night. When you work with love, and the interesting thing is, you know, even though this man was Christian and a Sufi, equally. This is one of the basic tenets of Buddhism, that you work with love, that everything you do is love. The Buddhists talk about washing dishes and taking each coffee cup and imagining that coffee cup to be the baby Buddha. And you are bathing the baby Buddha. When you are doing things with love, number one, you're doing a good job. No question. Number one, two, are you pleasant to be around? Yeah. You're not a crab. And you are adding to the love in the world. You are adding the energy of love into the world. And that is the most beautiful thing you can do. And that's really hard. You know, when you're out, my grandsons were out cleaning up dog presents in the yard this weekend. You know, and when you've got a really dirty, crummy job, it is really hard to do it with love. And trust me, those boys were not loving it at all. But they got it done. It's very, very hard. But there is, you can get to the point where, yes, you can do that. You know, whether it's scrubbing the bathroom, whether it's whatever you're doing, whether it's something you love, something you don't. If you do everything, and this is something that I work very hard at, and I have been working on this for a long time. I look at, and this of course is part of Hinduism, the path yoga, the path of, I can't think of it. Anyway, I try to make everything I do a gift to the divine, everything. You know, a lot of times Bob will say to me, he says, you know, look at all those dishes I made for you. This is horrible. Well, you know what? The way, see, he looks at it as, I feel bad because I like trashed the whole kitchen and you're stuck with it while he's cooking. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as, I hate to cook. I'm a terrible cook. We'd be really thin if I was cooking because nobody would be eating anything. So I don't care how many dishes they are. I don't care if it's every pot in the kitchen. I am so grateful that he does the cooking. I am glad to do the dishes. It makes me happy. And it's amazing how much peace that can bring you when you operate from that